Welcome back to the Good, the Bad and the Ugly podcast with me, Tony Murrell. Proudly sponsored by Eyes Wide Open Clothing and Loco's Competitions. This week's special guest is Damian Harry, an activist speaking out against corruption in the justice system. From exposing police corruption and questioning cases like the Lucy Letby trial, Damian shares his shocking journey. This episode is a powerful and eye-opening conversation. Thanks for listening and watching this episode.
Not only my daughter's being bullied by students, being bullied by staff as well. They're going to throw your daughter over a second floor balcony. You just went, one of your daughter's phone's got a tracker on it. I will get Warrington Council and we're going to nail Cheshire Police.
Well, it's the Good, the Bad and the Ugly podcast with me, Tony Murrell. I'm proudly sponsored by Eyes Wide Open Clothing. This week's special guest is Damian Harry. Really looking forward to you sharing the Good, the Bad and the Ugly. How are we, mate?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks very much for coming down. I know you're only based in Warrington, so it's not too much of a journey for you. I'll be dead honest, I come across you on social media and I find you're a very interesting individual, if I'm going to be honest. You know, I think a lot of people out there and now in today's society, there's a lot of people being silenced and, you know, being gagged and being told what they can say and what they can write. And I came across a couple of things on your social media and I thought, that guy looks very interesting and sounds very interesting. Let's get him on. And here we are. So I just obviously want to, you know, get you on, get a bit of background about yourself and, you know, what it is that you're fighting for and you know, and making people aware that, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on and you're not going away.
No.
So what is it that you know, let's start from the off, if you know, where you grew up, where you're from, family life and school life was like.
So 52, got 4 children, born in Wigan, lived in Warrington from the age of 3, had probably what I would class as quite an idyllic childhood, fishing, sailing, motocross, quad biking, normal type of... Well, it's not even normal, that really, because my dad did round the world yacht racing, so he did all the Fastnet, all the sort of big world dangerous races. So I grew up doing stupid things. Never drunk alcohol, never tasted it, never smoked, never took drugs. Yeah, high school was all pretty normal, pretty fun, you know. So I can't say there was no. It was all really enjoyable. Then I was a civil engineer. Building roads, bridges, industrial estates.
Yeah. Do you have brothers and sisters at all?
Yeah, brothers. 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother. And yeah, 4 children to 2 mums. The mum to the 2 eldest girls died suddenly 8 years ago. So they were sort of primary school age at the time. They were both academically top of their class, top of their years, and sporting wise, both very sporty as well. So they had a lot going for them.
The effect of obviously losing the mum, I can't imagine, you know.
Well, the effect of the only thing that then started were my eldest went to high school, and everything changed from that point on. The woman that their primary school head teacher was married to a guy that worked for Cheshire Police. They used to babysit for me. She was an Ofsted inspector, so you couldn't really have a better babysitter than the head teacher of your kid's school.
Yeah.
Get to high school, obviously the girls' mum's then deceased, and my daughters are popular, they're attractive, the boys are attracted to them. So they're regularly sort of bullied, threatened, told to go die you bitch like your mum. So their education started failing. We had meetings with school staff, council staff to try and resolve it. And then the second daughter went to the same school, and it sort of carried on. So it was happening with one girl and it was happening with another girl.
Just a cycle, was it?
It was a cycle that the school weren't coping with, they weren't dealing with. No matter who was involved, nobody was dealing with it. So the key things for Warrington Borough Council, Director of Children's Services, their statutory duties are safeguarding and education of children. and they failed in both of those duties.
I was just about to say that to you then, Damian.
That is where
the failings
this starts.
And it's, I mean, and I can see, like, just looking at you,
Yeah.
any parents out there, your children, when they make that transition from primary school to secondary school, it's always daunting, it's always scary, because you want them to let them open the wings and go and like have a little bit of independence and stuff like that. But any type of bullying, name calling, physical.
There'll be Cheshire police that will watch this, that have sat in my house. I had meetings at the schools with the police. They assured me that they would fix it. I've had so many meetings at my house. They've sat in my house. They've assured me that they would sort it all out. And ultimately, they didn't.
Failed.
It's a complete failure. When they're threatening that your daughter's going to be sort of gang assaulted. They're going to throw your daughter over a second floor balcony. They're going to punch your daughter's teeth down the throat. They're pulled down the stairs backwards. To the point where the school at one point were given, I withdrew my 2 eldest girls out of the school.
Yeah.
And I was given a written safeguarding agreement by the school that they were going to escort my daughter from one class to another because the situation was that dangerous for her.
Just from class to class?
Just from class to class. I had a very senior member of staff block my daughter getting onto the school bus one day, and he leant over and blocked her getting onto the bus and said, "If you complain, I will exclude you from school." So not only my daughter's being bullied by students,
pupils,
but being bullied by staff as well. So I had meetings in school. We'd have my daughter sat next to me. We'd have the staff that had threatened her, and they would be barefaced lying.
And was that what it was? You said all sat in a room and
all sat in a room trying to cover
denied
up,
it,
denying that they were, not only were my children being bullied by other students, but denying that they were bullying and trying to basically silence my children, for complaining about being bullied by staff. And that wasn't just, there's 2 schools in my area, and that happens in both schools. One lad had been bullied and threatened to gang assault one of my children. And then I had my 2 younger children with me. We were in the reception area of the school, waiting to pick my older 2 children, had just come out of the gym. And then the lad that had been organising the gang assault, while I was talking to who was then my middle daughter, turned round and said, "That's him. As in, that's the lad that's orchestrating
this attack."
You could tell he just put his head down and walked straight past behind. So I walked round past, and I just said to him, and we were as close as this is how close we were. And I said, "I'm such and such's dad." She has a nickname, so she's known as her own name.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm just giving you one warning, and it's your only warning you're going to get." And we didn't get any closer than this. And I said, "Do not go near her or say anything to her ever again." And that's all I've got to say to you. And that was the end of it. Senior member of staff from the school, or either then or the next day, sends an email, contacts the council, Warrington Borough Council, and says that I'd assaulted this lad, pinned him up against the wall, got him, I think, by the throat or whatever.
In front of all the pupils?
In front of all these people.
CCTV?
CCTV everywhere. Now, this is a very modern £30 million. It's the newest school in Warrington. It's beautiful to look at. It's beautiful to walk around.
Inside.
But you're throwing your kids into a cesspit if you put them there. So a social worker from Warrington Borough Council goes round to my parents' house. No reason that she should have gone there. My stepdad had recently come out of hospital. He'd been in an induced coma. He was very frail. She'd gone round and caused this massive... My daughters were there, and my daughter rang me up and said, "There's a social worker for Warrington Council saying that you've assaulted a student from the school." "And you haven't, Dad, because I was there." So I rushed back to the house as quick as I could. And then I spoke to the social worker, who was then backtracking. And then she caused all this sort of hysteria in the house. Then the next morning, my stepdad got up and then basically was having a chat to my mum about it in the morning, and then said, right, I'm going to go and make a cup of tea. And then she said he was taking ages to make a cup of tea, so she went to go and find out what he was doing. And he'd basically made his cup of tea, sat at the kitchen table, had a heart attack and died on the floor. That was reported to the school for the consequences of what they'd done. And that is in effect corporate manslaughter and corporate homicide, because they in effect caused that sequence of events. So he wouldn't have had a heart attack and died if the stress hadn't have been caused the night before. Well, that's what I believe anyway. And then that started the retaliation. So this is just before COVID. And then a girl in the school tried to commit suicide on the way to school, and then tried again to commit suicide during a lesson. So I wrote to, this is not just when you've got children committing suicide.
How old are these children, Damian?
Well, they're from 11 to 16, aren't they? But prior to this, both of my children are in year 7, so they're coming home from the school saying to me, and they're age 11 and 12 at this point, and they're coming home from school going, Dad, what's a blowjob? What's a 69? And I'm going, why asking that? Well, the boys, they're watching porn in class on the phones. They're asking me what a blowjob is, and I'm just asking me if I know what a blowjob is. And I'm just saying, yeah, of course I do, because I don't want to be embarrassed. Or do I know what a 69 is? And I'm having to explain to my daughters what this is. So we flip back to that, and then there's a girl that commits suicide during a lesson.
She actually
took an overdose, and she didn't die, but she was in hospital for weeks. But this
and what's all this through? Is this just?
It's bullying in school. It's rife. It is literally every day there are fights in that school.
And they just cannot contain it and deal with it in the correct manner.
No, because they want the image of their school to be this perfect Ofsted good school, and what they do is they doctor and tamper with student records. So we will get to that sort of,
of course,
because the police get involved, and the police identify it as a big issue here. So I come home one night, and for some reason I put the TV on, and I've never watched BBC Parliament. And I put the TV on, and it goes straight to BBC Parliament. And Nick Gibb, the schools minister, is talking about bullying in school. And it's exactly what the problem that I've been, bearing in mind, we're just before COVID, and November 2019 is when we've had the issue where the school employee and the council worker have in effect caused the death of my stepdad. And we're just about to go into COVID, and there's a girl committed suicide. And this isn't stopping. So I watch Nick Gibb, he's the school minister for standards, and I think, right, I'm going to find his email address. So I find his constituent's email address, and I find his parliamentary address, and I email both of them. And then in the morning, because I've given him a brief outline of what's wrong at the school, first thing in the morning I've got an email off him, response going, this is what you need to do. We're just about to go into, he actually tells me we're just about to go into lockdown, but I want you to do a formal complaint, but I don't want you to put it in until the girls go, your children go back to school, which will be later in the year. So he's already predicting this is going to be bigger than in effect what the government was saying at the time. They knew it was going to be longer. I'd been warned about it. Don't put your complaint until they go back in later in the year. And this is before we've actually gone into lockdown. So then my daughters go into school during lockdown. The school's got a capacity of about 1,200. And they invited mine back in because their education had declined so badly. And they enjoyed it. I just said to the girls, they've invited you back in. Do you want to go in? You'll be like one of 20 or 30 kids in there. So you're going to get you're going to get a good education, or you're going to get back to where you were. And they jumped at the chance. Then the new term comes, and that's when the bullying starts again. I've told the school they're not coming in until they've agreed to safeguard my children. If you've got family members in an organisation and they need to be escorted from one office to another, you know there's an issue.
Of course, yeah.
So I had a meeting with Cheshire Police in the school, PC Melissa Marshcroft. She was like the school. And she assured me and my children that she was going to be in there every week and make sure that the girls were safe. You shouldn't have police going into a workplace to ensure the safety of children.
Well, it's school, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so then I'm just thinking where we get to next. Then my eldest daughter just says, I'm not going to this. I can't. She just said, just take me home. And that was the end of her education.
At what age was that?
So that's September 2020. So, and she's 19 now.
She was 14
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah. So we do, because she was so popular sporting wise.
All that gone to shit, all got declined. And
Yeah. The school that she was always competitive against and always beating in every sport. I called them and said, my daughter would like to come to your school. And instantly they went, yeah, straight away. And then Warrington Borough Council blocked it as a form of punishment. So,
I mean, this is where it all started.
This is where. So
they put the blockers on your daughter going from one school to another, which if there's places available, I can understand if it's full. Yeah. But obviously they were quite happy to take her.
Yeah, it's called an in-year transfer, and it's dead simple. If you're in the middle of a year and you can transfer to another school, you do it. So they were perfectly happy to take her. Then Warrington Borough Council blocked it. Then we had to go to an appeal. Then all of a sudden, the school say, we're full. And then she never has any education whatsoever.
And education's going to clarify, you know what I mean?
By that point, the school are harassing me. They're aware that I've reported them to Ofsted. They're aware that I knew what Warrington Borough Council were like. I know how they manipulate things. So what I did was I'd been in touch with the Government Minister for Schools. I'd been in touch with the local government and social care ombudsman because I knew that the next stage, they're the regulator for the council. The LGO said that I needed to make, I can't think of the education secretary now at the time. It was not Nadeem Zahawi, it was another one. Anyway, I got the private secretary's phone number and email. So it was all set up that I had.
You just had enough, Damian. You were getting nowhere.
Yeah,
you go into the big.
Yeah, I'd spoken to Charlotte Nichols, or I'd emailed Charlotte Nichols and said, I've got an issue. I'm going to give you a formal complaint in the next couple of weeks. I've emailed the my local councillor at the time was Russ Bowden, who was the leader of Warrington Borough Council.
Was there no help from them?
They all offered help until they realised that, in effect, that their council had failed. And once they read the issues, they all stuck together. And literally, this is how bad it is. So when we get to the fact that I'm raising safeguarding concerns about, and I specifically warn, so I've warned Ofsted, the local government and social care ombudsman, the director of children's services, my MP, the schools minister, that if
councillors and everything.
If they felt, and I put it in bold and I've underlined it, and I've sent you pictures of it. I've been very specific. If you fail, a child will end up dead, because the escalation and talking between parents were, I thought one of my two children would end up dead. And there were other parents going, I think it's going to be my daughter. I think it's going to be my daughter.
Raising concerns.
And they were genuinely, and it wasn't until I'd raised concerns and I hadn't been basically silenced, that other parents were going, can you send me your complaint? Can you send me your complaint? And we were all sharing complaints.
And how many parents was there?
There was plenty. And some of the people, Warrington Council didn't know that all these parents were talking. They didn't realise that some of them were also social workers for different councils, for neighbouring councils. So there was a lot. And these were professional people that were saying the complaints process is literally breaking our marriage. It's literally breaking our relationships. These are kids that... So we go through, I take the council and the school to an independent tribunal. they're found to have broken education law around my second daughter, and then I end up in court proceedings with them. And this is where, so there's two schools to do with, in effect, the Brianna Ghey murder.
And this is where it's got to, with the concerns you were raising.
Yeah, I'd warned a child was going to end up dead, and then a child ended up dead. So, but while the council were harassing me, the council used everything possible within their control to harass me. And when they'd run out of steam, that's when they started using the police. So I made the formal complaint to Warrington Borough Council. It was 20 pages long, very simple. I told them what I wanted. I wanted an apology, I wanted compensation for the girls. It was very simple, very basic. Then the Director of Children's Service is Amanda Amesbury. Her husband was the Labour MP, Mike Amesbury.
Mike Amesbury, yeah.
They had 20 days to sort of deal with my complaint as a final resolution. It's called a stage 1. And it's covered by law. It's called the Children's Act. And then 20 days come and I get a threatening letter off Amanda Amesbury. She's just like her husband. Literally 2 thugs in a family. She no longer works for the council. I'm not surprised. She's moved to a neighbouring council, and she's using her maiden name now as well, because I don't think Amesbury is really the right. It's got a bad smell about it. And then the local government and social care ombudsman write to the council and tell them to escalate it for independent. The next stage, the council ignore them. Then I go back to the LGO, and they don't enforce it. And then what happens then is the chief exec, Stephen Broomhead of Warrington Borough Council, writes threatening me to remove everything negative about Warrington Borough Council off.
Via email, is this?
It's a written letter.
Oh, right, okay.
He's not very intelligent either. It's like a proper ranting, incoherent letter. It's quite laughable, really, considering he's the chief executive of the council. So it's a written letter, arrives in the post, and he threatens through GDPR, and I'm not allowed to post this, and I can't post that. Well, that's not true. I can post what I like. And he says, if you don't do that, we'll take you to court. So I carry on. They contact Twitter Legal Department, and they send Twitter Legal Department say, we've had a third-party correspondence. There's about 300 tweets of yours, all talking about Warrington Council and their employees. We're not going to remove them, but here they are.
This is what they're flagging up. This is what they're
flagging. There's about 300 tweets at that time. And I posted about 6,500 tweets. So Warrington Borough Council then took me to court to get an injunction to silence me. And that would have probably, I don't know, cost them tens of thousands of pounds. Went on for about 6 months. And during court proceedings, obviously they had to produce all these tweets. And the fact that, in effect, what they'd done was they put me under covert surveillance, which is illegal. It's a breach of the regulation of investigatory powers.
At home and all stuff like that.
Well, no, it's my tweets.
So, on social media, sorry.
Yeah, so you can't access somebody's social media. You can do it a few times as an organisation, but after that, what you've got to do is you've got to get judicial authorisation, because you're then storing all your data. So you've got to know that it's your data that they're storing.
You've got to inform you of the...
Yeah. So we arrive at court, and there's like a literally pile of paperwork this high. And the judge actually said to them, who authorised you to do this? Because it's a data breach. It's illegal surveillance. But it doesn't stop there then. So I win that case. But the judge doesn't do anything about it. There's no penalty for the council. So that's a corrupt judge at Liverpool. There's a whole string of corrupt judges, and we get into this later.
Yeah.
Because I'm slowly starting to deal with it. And we've had judges... We'll get onto that later. So we're then into the middle. This is when the police start to get involved, because it's like I'm clearly not backing down, and they can't shut me up. So by by then there's a judgment by the Lord Chief Justice, Lord Burnett of Malden, and he basically says that anyone that's in legal proceedings with an organisation funded by funded by the taxpayer, there's no anonymity for any council employees, no anonymity for hospital employees. It's a big case. It covers the family and criminal division, and so you've got your right to freedom of expression, your right to tell your story, and you've obviously got a defence of truth. So if you're telling a story and it's true, no one can shut you up. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And it's one judgment from Lord Malden in 2023. There's various other judgments, but his is the main one because he's the Lord Chief Justice. Then the police get involved. This is where the violence and so
the police were inflicting violence and stuff on yourself and your family.
Yeah. Oh, directly. So the chief. So
what police force was it?
It's Cheshire Police, and so it's Cheshire Police and then Northamptonshire Police. So what happens is the Chief Constable of Cheshire Police is Mark Roberts, who's a social friend with the Chief Exec of Warrington Borough Council. They drink socially. And now we've also got a Labour Police and Crime Commissioner as well, who's an ex-councillor for Warrington Borough Council. So now you've now got this lovely little triangle where you've got Labour Chief Exec Warrington Borough Council, you've got someone who should be independent, which is the Chief Constable, Mark Roberts, and then someone who should be making sure that the Chief Constable is held to account is an ex-councillor of Warrington Borough Council.
Sort of a funny business, but
breathe. Well, Warrington Borough Council's $2 billion in debt. And once we start going through my arrests, you'll see that exposing corruption gets me arrested. It's not just about exposing safeguarding and education failures.
Yeah.
I start looking into other things, and when I start looking into other things,
you've opened the can of worms.
Once I start looking, it's quite clear that me looking is going to get me arrested, and as though it's going to stop me looking. But by then, I've uncovered some quite seedy, underhanded sort of goings on.
Within the council and within the
council,
police force and...
Well, definitely within. So the police force acts as enforcers for Warrington Borough Council. I make no bones about that. They literally, they're corrupt. And Cheshire Police act as enforcers to suppress people that call Warrington Borough Council out.
They act on,
If Warrington Borough Council feel that you're exposing something, they will call Cheshire Police, and you're going to get arrested. They will make something up, and that's where we'll get on to now. I'll just have one little more.
Of course you can, yeah, not a problem. But from the bullying side of stuff, Damian, what you're saying with your daughters, where it's all started, it's this, and you're looking out for your children, like we all do.
Yeah.
You've gone to the school, you're not getting nowhere, you're banging your head against the door, you've gone to the next, and then, you mentioned, you were worried for your own daughter's safety, other parents were worried about their children's safety, and then you've got Brianna, unfortunately, who was brutally murdered.
Yeah.
For you, I know we're going off a little bit topic, but I just want to get to, for you as a parent and a father who's fighting to get, your daughters, you want your kids to go to school, learn the basic, for you as a father, was worried about the children. How did that make you feel when this happened?
So my eldest daughter wanted to be a shipping barrister. I had gone to the University of Manchester of Law with her. We'd done open days. So she wanted to be a barrister. So her path, that is what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
She knew the lifestyle that she wanted. She knew she wanted a Ferrari 458 convertible. She knew what she wanted to do. She talked to the right people. And then the second daughter wanted to be forensics police officer or a history teacher. So these are both, and have both had their education taken away from them. When their education declined and the parent is complaining about safeguarding education failures.
You want the best for your children, don't you? Of course you do.
I wanted them to have whatever they wanted to have. And it wouldn't matter to me what career they wanted, and if if this one wanted to do this hobby, we made sure we did it. They did everything they wanted to do growing up. They had everything they wanted growing up, and all of a sudden they've had everything took away from
Their
them.
education was taken away, which was
Completely.
gonna get them to that path.
Yeah,
So.
and they can't deny. I mean, we literally went way before, going to the sort of University of Law in Manchester and sitting through and going to these open days years before she would have actually got there, because she would have had to have done, in effect, her GCSE, she would have done her A-levels. There was lots of stages she had to go to.
But that's
to
where
get
she
to there.
lead today.
But we were going there, we were doing those open days, because we had to check that she was taught. I mean, she spoke to a shipping barrister because, she would talk to people like that and go, what's it like? Because she wanted to make sure that was the path.
She was getting like a little bit of a feel and wanted, even from that young age, but it was taken away. But
so we get to this. So Brianna was murdered in February 2022.
On the signs, was the signs, or I mean, obviously with the school, what's going on?
So my daughter was sat next. So in my daughter's class, when my daughter joined the high school, being popular, they buddied her up with Scarlett Jenkinson. Was not popular. She was not attractive. They're just facts. And then so they buddied her up with my daughter and sat her next to my daughter in all lessons for 2 years. Eddie was in the same form. He was not popular. My daughter described them as not smelling very nice, but Scarlett had a lovely, and we complained. We complained that Scarlett had a kill list.
A kill list?
Yeah.
A kill list?
Kill list.
What with people's names on?
Yeah.
Who she was going to kill?
Yeah. And we knew that Scarlett was sadistic and that she was trying to recruit girls to do blood rituals. And every time my daughter complained and wanted to move away, my daughter would be punished or put into isolation.
Because she was making people aware, but what's going on and stuff. And now then, everyone, sorry for interrupting the episode. Just a message from our sponsor, Eyes Wide Open Clothing. They've got everything from tracksuits, t-shirts, tracky bottoms, swimwear, you name it, they've got it. Don't forget to use the discount code TGTBTU at the checkout for 10% off your entire order. I know what you're saying about kids being unhygienic and stuff, and that does go on, unfortunately. It's sad in today's society, and some children in homes, it should start, look, you get up, you're hygienic and stuff like that. But to have a kill list, what you're talking about, that's something I've never, that is just absolutely
Other children used to say that when they see sort of Scarlett walking sort of face to face, people always knew there was something not right with Scarlett. They always said, you just don't look at her in the face. And even other children my friends' children were saying the same things to their parents who were telling me.
That's just scary, knowing that in school and your kids are going to school and to even know that, you'd be worried sick about your kids. Are they could be coming home because a child, there's worry that a child's going to take another child's life, or they've got a list that they're going to...
I think it's a bit weird when text messages are going around and they're talking about Scarlett trying to get people to do blood rituals with her and stuff like that. So we get to August 2021. This is where the abuse really ramps up.
Have they committed the murder by then?
No, so we're in August 2021. The murder's February 2022. So it's built. So at that point, then, my daughter has we've then had a court case with Warrington Borough Council. My middle daughter has then moved away from Scarlett. Both daughters have now moved away from Scarlett and Eddie's school. I've had a court case with Warrington Borough Council, and I've tried to block my second daughter going to Brianna's school. And this is it. This was June 2021. And then I lose. I don't want her to go there because previously 9 kids from that school had gang assaulted both of my kids. A few had accepted sort of police cautions. One denied it, went to court, got found guilty of common assault. And then, so that's why I didn't want her to go there. And I actually said, if you end up going there, you will get your head kicked in. And then I lost. Warrington Borough Council bought her the new school uniform, and then she didn't last there long. She just said, I can't cope. It was too much for her because she'd been gang assaulted in February.
Worried sick, scared, petrified?
Well, she was, yeah, she was. And then, so this is all, so that gets us up to, we then move, so this is June, she's only there for a couple of months. And then we get to August. I take my 2 eldest daughters to Silverstone for Valentino Rossi's last MotoGP race. So that's the end of August 2021. Been there all day. And then as we're leaving, it's... So Silverstone is probably, I don't know, 4 miles in circumference. There's 14 exits. It's 10 o'clock at night. It's pitch black. All of a sudden, we're walking out. I'm ahead of the 2 girls. And a police officer runs and basically rugby tackles my 14-year-old daughter. Oh, it's going to get worse. He grabs her from behind, so he puts his arm around her and he grabs her by her left breast. And she's 14 at the time. She's 5'3", 5'4". She weighs probably 4 stone.
Is this a male police officer?
Oh yeah. Your sort of build, height. Literally, so rugby tackles her. He's picked her up off the floor. We don't know what it's about. And basically someone from Warrington Borough Council had made an allegation that I'd, let me get this right, abducted both of my children. So I'm arrested. So
instead of...
Yeah.
Why are they not tackling you and arresting you instead of like attacking?
Yeah,
I mean, that's just my look at it.
So we're at a stage now with, this is where Northants Police, we're at a stage where there's a professional standard. It escalates. Northants Police, there's more to come with this case. So then I'm arrested. So what happens is, so I'm here. You've got a police officer swinging my daughter around there where you are.
Yeah.
And then behind that is a member of the public. Then all of a sudden I see the police officer suddenly fall like that backwards. And he's lying on the floor screaming, literally screaming, like he'd been run over. And then he says, I just assaulted him. I mean, he's literally, one minute he's stood there next to me.
You've assaulted him?
That I've assaulted him. So he makes up a false allegation. So this starts to escalate, and the police officer, it never stops. So this whole situation, it doesn't de-escalate. So I then get arrested for assaulting a police officer. And the girls are one of the girls is, the elder one is hit over the head by another police officer with some handcuffs. He splits her head open. They handcuff both of the girls, take them away, take me in handcuffs, take the daughters back to Warrington.
Northants.
And I'm taken to Northamptonshire Police Station for assaulting a police officer. So I'm kept overnight, and then until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the police take me in for an interview. And say, a member of the public, they take me into an interview and go, he's literally covered in cuts, this police officer, as though he's been like wailing around like some lunatic. And they say to me, how did he get these injuries? And I says, I've had all night to think about this. I said, I don't know how he went from stood up to like that. He literally but bink down. And I had no idea. And they went, well, we're just going to show you a video before you release, because behind him, out of sight of you, was a member of the public that stuck his foot out, and you'll see it, and trips him up. So what we're going to do is, we're just going to show you the video so you know it wasn't your fault, and then you're going to have to get a taxi back to Silverstone and get yourself
your car and stuff.
Get yourself a car. And then that's the first one.
So on that CCTV,
yeah.
Was it a body cam or something or whatever?
It was a member of the public on a video on his phone.
And that member of the public shipped the police officer over. It's nothing to do with you, but you've been accused and been arrested for this police officer claiming that you've assaulted them.
Yeah. So then once it gets worse. So when I'm being taken, this is where all the illegal, unlawful. So I'm handcuffed and I'm being taken to the police car to be taken to the police station. And I said to the police officer, I said 100,000 people have just come out, because after the MotoGP, sort of practice and everything on the Saturday, then we go back on the Sunday, or we would have done for the race. Then you've got the big gig thing. It's like Glastonbury at night. So you've got like a stage show and everything. So we stayed for that, and there was Dizzy Rascal, and there was all sorts on stage. So we'd watch that, and then so I said, while I'm walking to the police car, I said that 100,000 people will come up, 100,000 people. There's a lot of people coming out in pitch black in a circuit that's 4 miles in circumference with 14 exits. How did you know we were coming out of that one? We saw your car in the car park. I went, don't be stupid. He went, and he literally was stood next to him, and he just turned to me and he just went, one of your daughter's phone's got a tracker on it. We were being tracked as well. So that's illegal surveillance. So not only did you...
So you would be, I was going to say, was you under...
They put it on my...
They were watching you, they were following a tracker on your daughter's phone?
They put a tracker on my daughter's phone, and they'd ghosted the app. And that's... So I've sent you... sent you a thing saying, look at...
Have a look at some of the stuff that you've sent me.
So Northants Police now... So it escalates... Is
this an ongoing case, is it all?
It's not. It's an ongoing case for them, because they're about to become defendants. In various...
And you're okay to speak about it?
Yeah, of course I am. Yeah. I won't be telling you otherwise.
Yeah.
I won't be telling you anything that I can't talk about.
I don't want you to be getting into any trouble or nothing, do you know what I mean?
What? Another fucking arrest? 21. So my ex-girlfriend is, she lives in Warwickshire. She used to work for Warwick University. So I get back to Silverstone on Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock. I've missed,
Your weekend, what was planned for a nice weekend with your daughters?
Yeah.
It's gone to shite.
Yeah, it's Valentino Rossi's last. It's like, let's go to the biggest motorbike event of...
Doing it as a family. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I ring her up and I go, listen, this has happened. She's an ex-girlfriend, and... she just says, come round. She said, I'll cook you dinner. You can have a bath. You can sleep in. Go back in the morning. Which is because obviously by then I'd been dragged backwards, literally. And then so I did. And then on the Monday morning, I drove back up to Warrington, and then picked my daughter up, and we went into Warrington Police Station to make a complaint. So we go into Warrington Police Station. And we make a complaint in the afternoon about lunchtime. We're told to go home. And this is where it escalates even further. It never stops escalating, this at all. And then we're sat at home waiting for a police officer to come and take the statement. And then about 9:45 at night, the door goes.
When you're all ready to go to bed, probably.
Well, no. What we were about to do, my eldest daughter was going to finish work, and she was going to get dropped off at the house, and then and then she was going to pick her sister up, and there was lots of things going to happen that night. So then at 9:45, the door goes, and I open the door, and I'm 6'4", and my hallway is higher than outside, and I've got this little Scouse aggressive copper there with another copper behind and 2 coppers next to him.
So there's like four officers?
There's 3 male officers and a female officer.
What, to come and take a statement?
Yeah. So I'm really confused. I'm confused by all this. This has ended up in court because it doesn't stop. So we know that the police are tracking us because Northants Police have admitted that they used tracking stuff that was attached to her phone. So there's an ongoing investigations, which I can talk about because I've shown them. Northants Police have...
You've exposed
they've exposed themselves. And so we then get to... He's confrontational from the beginning. And there's no other... And I'm like, you've come here to take a statement for harassment because of what's happened over the weekend, and we're both getting messages of abuse. A Warrington Council employee then gets convicted of harassment as a result. It never stops. It's sort of, instead of them de-escalating, they always seem to manage to go the wrong way. So my 14-year-old daughter that's just been indecently assaulted by a police officer, and I've been unlawfully arrested and detained.
Unlawful.
Yeah,
it's
a false allegation of assault. And that's the end of the matter from the Northants' point of view, we think. And then what happens is, my daughter says, I'm getting really stressed, Dad, I'm going to go outside and get some fresh air. The next thing, so she goes out, she goes around the house. Next thing I can hear her screaming. She's 14 and she's already been indecently assaulted by a Northants officer. They've come round to take a statement. And then the female officer basically has threatened to assault her. But she's appeared in handcuffs. So they've handcuffed. So none of this is registering with me. It's like, this is what's going on here. And then, as I'm walking over, basically as to cut a big event short, because this is how we end up with Cheshire Police, in effect, tampering with evidence and fabricating evidence and lying in court and perverting the course of justice and contempt of court proceedings. It's like a massive escalation. They literally can't back down on anything. So I've then got one officer behind me and 3 in front. Then all of a sudden, they've all got the body worn videos on.
I was going to say about the body cams. Was the body cams?
Yes. This is recent. So we've recently had a court case about it, which I can talk about, because it's about talk about it on social media as well, because it helps people. So they've all got the body cams on, and I've got, so in effect, I've got her phone in my hand, left hand, and I've got iPad in my right hand. I don't know how I did it, but for some reason I managed to flick it on video by pressing something.
On the iPad, so
yeah, so it records a lot. It records all of this. And then all of a sudden I see a green dot, what in effect, it's like a green glow worm flashing past my head. It's only after the event you think that was a body cam. So as the body cam flies past my head, literally like somewhere here, the scouse little aggressive
police officer,
yeah, punches me in the back of the head. So my head goes down because as he punches me in the back of the head, but the police car door is open, and as my hand goes through the windscreen pillar of the police car, the officer slams it on my forearm, rupturing my whole. So my arm is, it's not my fingers trapped in the door.
your forearm.
My forearm, and the door's shut. So, and then another officer pulls my right arm out. So I'm that sort of across the car. The female officer uses Parva spray from here, and it's got to be a metre
Sprays
away.
you with it?
Sprays me right in the face. So, and then the officer that's got me trapped in the door, they then release the door and then pull me into the road. And it's quite a sustained attack. And I've described it to everybody. If you watch the Manchester Airport one with the 2 Asian lads, and you watch the police, imagine that the Asian lads don't retaliate and the police just do what you saw them do. That's what happened to me. I'm just on the floor. And at the point where
Your neighbours and all stuff is because there's a commotion.
It's pitch black. It is genuinely pitch black, and I'm in the road. My daughter's
screaming and going.
Yeah, the police have put my daughter in the back of the police car. You can hear her screaming on my recording because mine's still recording. So, but then a police officer after the event, which I've seen, so I've got more of a sequence because of what I've seen from body worn video. The police then smashed the iPad to pieces. It looks like it's been run over by a truck, obliterated. And they think whatever was recording is gone.
But it hasn't.
It hadn't
just get
gone
the screen
away.
repaired and whatever it is.
It hadn't gone away.
And so did it have it all? Did it have it everything?
Oh, it had it all. It's on YouTube. So what happened was I then took the iPad to Apple, and they went, no problem. They can do like a transfer of data. It doesn't even. It can be obliterated. They can just go. Bloop. They do some sort of witchcraft.
And I'll transfer it to whatever.
And they went, there you go. Everything's on your new iPad for you. So then so then what happened was.
Did the clip, when you put the clip up, did it go?
It's hidden. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's on a private link. So it stayed there so I then reported it as an assault. And then what happened after that was all the 4 police officers, 7 in total, it all unravels. This is sort of all unravels. The police officers then sort of, you have You take your body-worn video camera, you take it back to the police station, it downloads, and it's what's called a master file. But what the police do is they take evidential clips off it. Master file stays the same, and you can get an audit record of who went on and what and took what.
But there's logs for that, though, when you go on shift and stuff, isn't there?
Yeah. So it's called an audit record. So the police then all make statements to say, I've assaulted an emergency worker.
That was the charge we're trying to...
Yeah. So they then go along that route. So that takes us. That's arrest number 2. With it in effect, I've been arrested on Saturday night. I've come home on the Monday morning. Monday night, I've been assaulted.
I've been arrested again.
I was bleeding out of my legs. I was bleeding. I was covered in bruises. This forearm muscle was purple. I was covered front, back, everywhere with bruises. So when I went into the police station, the nurse just said, I need you to lift your arm so I can check your movement. And I couldn't. I remember not being able to move one arm. And she just said, I need to strip you off. I said, I can't get my clothes off. And she stripped me off and she went, oh my God. And then, so that was about 3 o'clock in the morning. Then a detective called me while I was in the police cell and just said, I believe you've been assaulted. So that investigation is that's a sort of ongoing thing at the moment. The Northants police is ongoing. So then we get to 2022. I take my eldest daughter to London. So it's June 2022. We're only on number 3 out of 20 now. I'm trying to be as quick as I can.
Yeah.
So we get to, it's the Queen's Jubilee, 70th Jubilee. It's the pageant on the Saturday through Westminster. It's the party on the Saturday night where the Queen doesn't attend on Saturday night, she does on the Sunday. Rod Stewart's there and it's everyone, it's just brilliant.
It's chock-a-block.
So we're down Saturday night, Sunday, come home Sunday night. But in the meantime, at the end of 2021, Nick Adderley, the Chief Constable, the one that got sacked for being a fraudster, they're pretending he was in the Royal Navy. He was in the Falklands. He said he was in the Falklands and he was it was a gunner and all sorts of weird stuff. When in fact, he was actually at school in Manchester at the time. And his wife grassed it. I think it was his wife that grassed him up. I'm not sure which wife it was, but yeah. But he
had a few.
I believe he did. He has, like his personalities, he's got a few. And then he used to work for Cheshire Police. So he was that's where he started his crooked career off. I mean, they should have known he was lying about his age and his naval career. They should have vetted him then and realised.
You would think, obviously, today, with the vet and stuff like that.
So we get to 2022. I'm trying to give it in a sequence. So Brianna gets
brutally murdered. Yeah.
It's not 2023. She's 2023. That's why I was trying to get the sequence right. So June 2022. This is arrest number 3, and it's the only arrest in that year. Go to see the Queen. Coming back. So Nick Adderley on Twitter goes mental at me because I'm telling everybody about what his office has done.
Yeah.
And he does a tweet, and you can Google it, and it comes up. If you Google my name and Nick Adderley, it comes up. Then. So he says, get a solicitor, report, make a complaint to the IOPC, make a complaint to professional standards. So that is what I do. So that's the end of 2021. 2022 comes and I've made the complaint.
Now then, everyone, sorry to interrupt this episode, but this is a quick message from our sponsor, Loco's Competitions. They do live draws every Tuesday on Facebook at 6 p.m. Cash prizes, TVs, games consoles, vouchers, you name it, they've got it. Go check them out. Now get back to the episode.
We're driving up the M1 through Northamptonshire, and then my daughter says, can we stop for food? And I'm going, well, yeah. And I said, well, we're going to go up to East Midlands Airport and cut across and go through to Stoke, and we'll get a decent meal. And she's gone, oh, don't care, just let's stop at Burger King or something. She's not really into that type of stuff. She prefers to eat sort of not Burger King stuff. So we just managed to get this sort of M6 junction, and we pull off at M1 Services, junction 1 Moto. And we have a Burger King, and we come out, And I'm walking up to, we're both walking up to the back of the car. I open the driver's door, she opens the passenger door.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the car is swamped. We both think that there was like a Volvo 4x4 that hits the back of our car. We think it hits the back of the car because it was just such a shock. And then, so I open the door and then all of a sudden, a firearms officer has got a firearm next to my right temple. My daughter stood literally here on the other side of the roof and says, "Stop or I'll discharge it." Right. So I'm then arrested because a Warrington Borough Council employee has made a false allegation of kidnap. And this is how it carries on.
A kid kidnapping your daughter again.
So I've abducted her once. Now I've kidnapped her. And then, so I'm arrested, and then I'm taken to, so you've got Northamptonshire Police have come out of Northamptonshire. We're now in Warwickshire. So it's all a mess because Warwickshire Police have had to come as well.
Yeah, because it's gone into a different county and stuff like that. Yeah,
so, So we've got firearms units from Northamptonshire Police swarming. They're everywhere.
It must be scary for your daughter and for yourself, obviously.
Well, she's 17, so she's 17 at that point. And then I'm arrested for, it was abduction that time. So, yeah, so then I'm taken, I think I went to Nuneaton Police Station, I think. And then Cheshire Police come and get me at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
To take you back to...
Yeah, because they don't want anything to do with me. They're like, there's something not right here.
So it's the Cheshire Police that have ordered this. That's for them to pick you up.
Yeah. So it's gone through Warrington. It's gone from Warrington Council to Cheshire Police to Northamptonshire Police. And so the idea was when we were going to come through Northamptonshire, they were going to get us.
So really, Damian, they're all over you, mate. They're just.
So I get back to Cheshire Police, to Runcorn Police Station, and the two female detectives. The first thing they say is, "We know you've not abducted your own daughter." They know it's a malicious, but so from the first one, the second one, we're now on arrest 3, which is why and then what Northamptonshire. So this sort of ends Northamptonshire Police is because they don't arrest me again. So what they do is I then once the IOPC then have ordered Northampton Police to investigate my complaint once, then twice. They've instructed Cheshire Police to investigate my complaint 3 times. They've told Warwickshire Police to investigate. No one's investigating. No one's doing what they're told to do. So then, so then what they do is they try and bury the investigation, the firearms incident. So I report the, I think she's Sarah Louise Parrott, I think her name is, Chief Inspector for Northants Police, buries in effect the professional standards investigation into the firearms incident. So then I then get maliciously prosecuted by Northamptonshire Police because in effect they don't have to investigate them while it's a criminal investigation. So they say I've then assaulted, they go back to arrest 1 and say I assaulted the police officer.
When you hadn't, obviously.
When I hadn't, but then what they don't do is they don't disclose anything, as in the taped interview that shows that I didn't. So I then have to go to Northamptonshire Crown Court to answer, I'm being prosecuted for an assault on emergency worker. So we go backwards and forwards to Northampton. Then it gets transferred to Liverpool Crown Court. So this happened, we're talking August 2021, and it took till September 2024 for the prosecution
to be dealt with,
to drop the case because they realised that it was a lie.
He had nothing.
Yeah. Which then means that because I've been maliciously prosecuted and statements have been made to the court which are false, you're perverting the course of justice, which is contempt of court. So in effect, I was being maliciously prosecuted, but now they're the defendants.
And from there, though, where did you go from there? Were they accountable for that? Have there been any charges brought against them, please?
That's so. In the last couple of weeks, contempt of court proceedings have been issued against the Northamptonshire Police.
Was that the things that you'd sent me on the?
They've got professional standards investigation as well now. And if they don't, what they're trying to do is they're trying to change the narrative of my complaint. They don't want to investigate my complaint. What they will investigate is what they want to investigate, which is not my complaint. So, so if they don't comply with my complaint, they can either transfer it to the IOPC, which they're defendants, so they're also defendants in a case.
Yeah.
I'm the applicant, they're the defendants. And then, or it can go for a judicial review, because what they're trying to change is the narrative. And I've already done one judicial review against Cheshire Police and the AOPC, which is at the High Court in London at the moment. So it's like, I'll do it. I will do what I'm telling you.
Strain it must have on your life though, Damian, and your children, you know.
Yeah.
And I get it, because if you believe in something, and I get that, you know, you're not giving up, you're not going away, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
And that
I spoke to my daughters twice today about this. I've spoke to them twice, and I've gone, is there anything that you? I mean, they laughed and laughed. This morning they couldn't have laughed anymore when they were watching the videos, the CCTV videos to music. They couldn't have laughed harder. They went, it's absolutely brilliant what you've done to expose the police. And then, you know, and my eldest said, but I don't want you to talk about this part.
Yeah.
So and I haven't. And I said, I've just gone. They've moved on with their lives over certain things. They're happy with what I'm doing, but I always go, right, I'm doing this. Is there anything that you don't want talking about? And they'll just go, yeah, I'm fine with that, or don't talk about that.
But, and look, you've got a good relationship with them by the sounds of it and stuff like that. But this is why I wanted to get you on. I know if we were to go through every arrest that you'd been through, we'd be here till God knows gone midnight. But going through your arrests and stuff, the reason I wanted you on, because this is why a lot of people don't have faith within the police, whatever constabulary it is, whether it be Cheshire, whether it be Merseyside, whether it be the Metropolitan Police.
Cheshire Police is absolutely crooked. You're supposed to have, you've got your chief constable, and then you've got your crime commissioner, and then in the middle, then above your crime commissioner, you've got a chief executive to the crime commissioner, and he's basically got the power to instruct the crime commissioner to investigate the chief constable. And the problem is, they're all feeding out the same pot, and they're all protecting each other. And
you should be what's the name that it's down the middle. You don't have any affiliation or whatever it is.
You've got Dan Price, the crime commissioner, ex-Warrington Council, so he's protecting Warrington Borough Council, and he's a Labour Party, long-time Labour Party. Then you've got Damon Taylor, who's protecting. I've met him, and he will protect the organisation, whether it's the crime commissioner, the office of the crime commissioner, or the chief constable.
Yeah.
And the chief constable, I found him quite weak when I've met him, literally. But if he's associating with the chief exec of Warrington Borough Council.
But all this, Damian, this has started from you raising concerns about your children's welfare at school. This is you know, which you would do. The school's not dealing with it. You've gone to the council, or you've gone to this one, and you've gone to that one. And because at the end of the day, nothing's being done about it. You know, you're worried for your children's safety. Other parents are worried about their children's safety. A young girl's been murdered.
You've got.
You know what I mean? It's like.
So you've got three. I've got 3 arrests up till Brianna gets murdered. You've got Brianna Ghey, who's special educational needs, so she was failed in school. You've got Scarlett Jenkinson. She was special educational needs. She was failed in school. You've got Eddie. He was failed in school, special educational needs. There's an issue where you've got like special educational needs kids, 2 of them killing another one, and then
which you were trying to raise concerns about.
Well, Scarlett was excluded from school. Scarlett was excluded from her school, and then because her mum works for Warrington Borough Council, if she's not fit to be in school, you then don't put her in another school. She could have either been homeschooled, or she could have gone to, in effect, a naughty kids, a special educational needs
where you have
school.
A bit more time with them, and they put a lot of time in.
She shouldn't have been put in. She should not.
Public school.
She shouldn't have been put in a public school. She should not have been doing it. Mine were excluded from school, through me complaining about educational safeguarding failures. Mine didn't get educated, but Scarlett was placed in a school. And so what happened in the meeting that I had with Cheshire Police at school is we had the meeting in school with the school staff. We had the police there, Melissa Marshcroft. She got my daughter's student records, and this is where everything's hidden. It's like they want the schools to look
Of course they
brilliant
do,
to
yeah,
Ofsted,
yeah.
but there's but the police officer literally just she sat over the thing. She just went like, look at this, look. There's, and she opened it, and all the pages were empty. She said, "There's none of everything that we know your children have been through. Nothing that's happening at school. None of the bullying.
Documented.
None of it was." So if an Ofsted inspector went into that school, all that glitters is not gold, and said, "Let's look at
Incidents and stuff like that, it wasn't logged.
None of it is. None of it. Absolutely none of it.
So this is why I'm getting the understanding now of like,
so
what the hell's going on here? Do you know
so
what I
when
mean?
Scarlett was transferred to her new school with this, whatever her student records were, it didn't show that she'd been excluded because she'd given drugs to a younger lad in the school library at lunchtime who ended up in hospital. So in effect, she's supplying drugs to another kid in school and gets away with it. She shouldn't have been in school. She shouldn't have been in any school. And the police knew about it.
So I mean, look,
and it was all one big cover up. She should not have been in school. So when I say Brianna Ghey,
it could have been.
When I say it could have been prevented, and it's why I reported Cheshire Police and Warrington Council to the police, to the IOPC, to Her Majesty's Government Inspector for corporate manslaughter and corporate homicide. I'm
going to ask you something now, Damian. Do you think this is why they're coming after you? Because you're not going, because...
It's not going to go away.
I know, listen, a young girl has been, tragically murdered, brutally murdered, do you know what I mean? I know it was nationwide news and stuff like that. But the way she was murdered and stuff like that, like I said to you before, when you found out she was murdered, I don't, when you're screaming from the rooftops about the goings on in the school. How did you feel, or when you found out about this young girl being,
My daughter said at the time, she said, I don't know how Scarlett has managed to befriend Brianna because they're so opposite to each other. I was angry, I was upset because it was like I'd been saying someone's going to end up dead.
And other parents were saying it as well, or
well, after at the time there was only me. Everyone was going, "Oh, well done for what you're doing, well done for what you're doing," and standing up for it. And I'm going, "But why aren't you doing it?" And other parents were going, "Oh, can you show us your complaint? Can you help us do your complaint? Can you help us do our complaint to the council off yours?" And I'm going, "Yeah, send me yours." And that's how I know that there's. So when I found out that Brianna had died.
Well, she was murdered, wasn't she? It brutally.
I was really. I look at me now.
I can see. I'm looking at you, and I can see it within your eyes. You're upset and you're angry because no one listened to you, and it could have been prevented.
It doesn't matter that people did. It's not matter that people. I was whistleblowing. I'm telling the government. There's a massive email trail to everybody. There's going that there is safeguarding failures here. I'm warning you, a child will end up dead. It's like that is a massive.
That's scary. That's scary.
That is a really bold statement to make, and you'd come over as absolutely off your nut. We need
to sort this straight away.
Yeah.
That's and like you.
I honestly thought it was going to be mine, and it was like I remember thinking one of my kids is going to end up dead if this carries on, because one of an employee from Warrington Borough Council. This is how bad Warrington Council is. That when when another girl came onto one of my children, and that was rejected in a sexual way,
right, okay,
completely inappropriate, and the comments that were going were they were inappropriate,
yeah, of course, yeah,
and they were over. They weren't like, "Oh, you look nice." They were just they were worse than that. Yeah. And my daughter went round to the girl's house to say to the mum, "It's like you need to stop your daughter." And then so the woman.
I'm not that way inclined. I'm not out the street or whatever. Or
she came running out of the house and punched my daughter in the face and bust her nose. It was reported to Warrington Borough Council. It's just. It was reported to. I'm not even sure the direction I was going in then. See, yeah, I'm not even sure where I'm going with it.
No, obviously you were speaking about like your daughter, and obviously what happened to Brianna and stuff like that, and trying to be prevented, and you thought it was going to be one of your own children, and then obviously you were saying about, people were saying well done for what you're doing, and then obviously
Yeah, the only thing I ever wanted for my daughters, all I was fighting for was when their education was going down. I'm saying, I want extra support in these that they're failing in. That's all I was ever doing was going, I want, this is what I want for my daughters, and then all I'm fighting for is education and safeguarding. And Cheshire Police are, I mean, as a result of the incident with the school where I was falsely accused of assaulting a kid, and then my stepdad died, Cheshire Police then opened an investigation into Warrington Council and the employee at the school that made the allegation. And then he called me, his name was PC Joseph Guest. He called me up and said, I'm just ringing to let you know, he said, this guy's got he's got a case to answer. And then an inspector called Ruth Atherton from Cheshire Police, Professional Standards Department, then rushed to the school, confiscated the CCTV.
It went missing.
Buried the case. This is... And this is every complaint I had. A council employee hacked my email account. She got convicted of harassment, an 8-week prison sentence. It's all just, and you're only up to arrest 3 by this.
But this is what I'm saying. If we were to go through every single
Yeah.
arrest, I mean, look, it become not so much fast forward because you've got so much to speak about and exposing, what you've been through, as a family, and you're being. To me, it's been like you're being by certain Cheshire Police, and you're saying Warrington Borough Council. It seems to have it because you're exposed, like, or you're speaking about, and you've got every right to speak. Everyone's entitled to have their own, but when you're being shut down and you're being tracked and you're being followed and you're being arrested and you're being this, that, and the other. I mean, it's scary.
So
scary.
last Monday at Liverpool Crown Court. So in round about the most recent arrest, 3:45 in the morning, I post something on, I post a tweet on X. It's absolutely not, when you actually read the thread, it's actually about, it's a conversation over the Daily Mail. And then I go to court on Monday, and a senior judge is brought in that's never had this case before at Liverpool Crown Court. It's through Cheshire Police and the assault where the body-worn video's all. And I say to him, he just says, Mr. Harry, what do you want? And I said, I want the original master copies of all 7 police officers. I want an audit trail, a bit-by-bit audit trail of it, and I want a evidential statement. And he goes, right, that's fine. He says, I'll order that. The Crown Prosecution Service are there. They've been denying it exists. They've been saying it's missing, it's this, it's lie.
He gets it.
He says, I want it in court, given to me by 31st of January. And he's gone, right. But he's been lying. This has been going on since 2022. We're now 3 years and 4 months into this original assault, and they've all been lying ever since. So I'm in court in Liverpool on Monday lunchtime, and my next door neighbour rings up and says, and I've got loads of missed calls, and I come out of court, and it's like, the police have been here for you, Damian, they're trying to arrest you. Oh, all right then, well, I don't know what this is for, because I haven't done anything. And then I'm in bed on Wednesday, Tuesday night. Tuesday night.
That's when I seen the I seen the tweet. That's when I seen.
And then early hours of Wednesday morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:15, there's police wandering around the drive, torches around. They don't knock on the door.
They're just mooching.
They're just like stray cats wandering around. And then so I get up, and I go to Runcorn Police Station for 10 o'clock. And then the police arrest me for this tweet. And it's to do with the Daily Mail. But he's talking about Cheshire Police. And so Peter Hitchens from the Daily Mail and the whole Lucy Letby case. That's how the whole Lucy Letby thing comes on. Because I got arrested for going to that as well. Because they know why I'm going. it's exposure where I can talk to. So it's a similar thing, the tampering with evidence in the Lucy Letby case.
Was
and
this Cheshire
withholding.
Police?
Yeah. Oh, it's completely.
Did you go since day one the Lucy Letby case? Did you know?
Only for this trial, the July 2024 one. I was there every day. I went every day for that one.
Because I seen it popped up that there was something not right and she was appealing and stuff like that.
Yes.
And then obviously when you come on the scene, I thought, and
it's not right, because I think I was the one that I was talking about the bit that was not right was, but I'll sort of get onto that. So Pete Hitchens is very much, there's something not right with this conviction. And Cheshire Police tried to silence him. He wanted to do an article, and Cheshire Police said, no, you can't. And they were so they're trying to control the media. And what my post was about, I don't know whether you've got it there or not, but it was basically like some journalists are willing to sell their arsehole.
Yeah, I did see it actually.
And they do. So I was arrested
for that tweet.
For that tweet that 18 people had seen, and bearing in mind the person...
How many people?
18 at that point.
Yeah.
18. I mean, I've had 1.6 million on
that one. Well, that one that with the police outside your house, I think that engagement's a couple of million or something. Was that one?
Yeah. So it's 18 people. So I got so I go to the police station on Wednesday, isn't it? It's out of money because I'm quite tired still.
Yeah.
This is how they mistreat you, and this has been continuous over all of them. So I go and I'm there at 10 o'clock, and then at 11 o'clock I'm arrested. Police officer, the actual two police officers, were really nice.
It's just a Runcorn police station.
Yeah, and one of them said, "I always hear about your name. I've heard about you.
You talk of the bloody what's the name?
I've heard about you. And then one of the other officers said, "I'm so glad I've met you." He said, "Genuinely," he says, "I'm really glad I've met you." And then, so they give me a cup of coffee at 11 o'clock in the morning, put me in a cell.
Did you get transferred to this custody suite?
No, I was in the custody. I went to the custody suite.
Oh, right, okay.
So I actually went to this custody suite because I thought, there's no point. I'm just going to go where are you going to put me anyway? So...
Did you know you were going to be arrested when you were going?
Oh.
Did you really know you were going to be arrested?
I thought they'd just go and answer it, but I'm always prepared for it because I've never engaged with the police. And they've not arrested me. It's how many hours in custody I'm going to be. Is it 24 hours or is it 40 hours? It's literally, it's never in and out. So at 11 o'clock they put me in and give me a cup of tea, and then I don't get anything else. I get a cup of water at 7 o'clock at night. I don't speak to my solicitor for 23 hours and 50 minutes. I've had no phone calls.
No food.
I don't get food until 6:15 in the morning. Right, 23 hours and 15 minutes after I'd had my breakfast. And then at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, there's activity, or we're going to try and get you food, and we're going to do this, we're going to get an inspector so you can make a complaint, we're going to do this, and this is happening at 3 o'clock, this is happening at 5 o'clock, this is happening at 6 o'clock in the morning. So by then, and then they go, right, you're going to do a video link to court. So we do that, and obviously Mike Amesbury's case is in court at Chester Magistrates. On
Thursday was it?
Thursday.
Yeah, and someone else was on court as well, wasn't he?
Well, me.
There was you, Mike
and Joey Barton.
Joey Barton, yeah.
So I messaged Joey Barton because you've got to do, because they're doing the same to him as they've done to me. Well, they're not doing the same to him, they're doing a lesser amount to him, but I'm offering him advice. We do a video link, and in the court are all the journalists. There's literally, it's packed.
Yeah.
And I don't think my solicitor was ready for it at that point, because it's like, what are all these doing here? And then so we do a video link. They've got a senior judge in there, and the judge tells the prosecutor to read out the tweet, and he reads it out, and it's all Cheshire Police of journalists will sell their arseholes and stuff, and it's like, it's true. You know, there's journalist message is. Journalists say worse about them. Yeah. Some people will do anything to get
a good story or a good
yeah. I mean, so then
what sells?
It's if there's the thing about the Brianna Ghey case was Warrington Borough Council and Cheshire Police didn't tell the journalists anything, absolutely anything about anything. So all the journalists were messaging me going, so I was on the phone to a journalist. I'm not sure whether it might have been, I think it was either Sky or Channel 5 at 9 o'clock. So she was murdered on the Saturday and they were arrested on the Sunday night. But I was on the phone telling them who it was and the whole dynamics of what had been going on. And the journalist said to me, Damian, I've got to go. They've just arrested them. And I'd been telling them. And if you look at back at the Sunday night of when I was the first person to tweet what had happened. I thought, there you go. I think like 45 minutes, but there was no one else had tweeted anything because I was on the phone to them and they said, literally, they've arrested them now. I told you.
It's absolutely horrendous.
Well, because I live in the area, people had been saying they'd seen Eddie get on the bus and he was covered in blood. It's like we'd all added it up before
before the police had obviously
We'd been adding it up on the Sunday afternoon. People were literally saying he got on the bus dripping in blood. His coat was literally, when they took samples of the blood, the samples were coming off the inside of the coat. It was that wet.
Fucking hell.
And his defence was, I went for a piss and I turned round and it had just happened. But it hadn't. I think what had actually happened in the end was he'd started off the stabbing and done 4, and then she did the.
She was stabbed him.
She went ballistic. It's 28 in total. And the judge in sentencing, I was there for sentencing, and the judge said to Scarlett, I don't ever think you'll come out. I just don't think you're going to come out. You know, he'll come out and he's got his sentence 20 years and he'll do whatever
Obviously,
he does.
she was given longer. Yeah.
She was given 22 years, but she actually said to Scar, I don't think you're ever going to come out. She's sadistic, she's possessed. And that's not saying it in a sort of dramatic way. Something went wrong with her because my best friend's daughter used to play with her at primary school. And they used to get on really well and she was very lovely and all the rest of it. But something happened a bit later on around COVID, maybe, you know, whether she was getting into stuff during COVID or whatever.
I just gone left up.
Yeah. So I watched that trial, and then because what was happening with Cheshire Police and me and various different things, I thought, I'm going to go to the Lucy Letby trial and see whether the same sort of corrupt behaviour is going on in her case.
Is there a pattern or something like that?
And there was. They were withholding evidence. There was what was called door swipe data, and there was evidence that was wrong, and they just, in effect, make things up. So, and I thought, the journalist knew me from Brianna's case,
yeah.
So I'll go and see them at the Lucy case and go, do you know what? There's something not right here.
You know, when everyone hears the name Lucy Letby for what she's done, or what we're being told she's done, you know, they're horrific to them babies. But then when you're saying, to be in the same room as somebody who could have actually done that, who has done that, who knows? But then you're saying with
the issue that I've got is, and I've always said this, I didn't go for Lucy Letby. I didn't go whether she was guilty or not guilty. I went to see whether they would doctor and tamper evidence as they've done for me. So I've gone with it is a bias because I can't get away from it, you know. And I went there. And then when the police knew that I was going there, they tried to arrest me.
What for?
Don't know. I think it was a tweet or something like that. It's always about
social media.
It's always about. So there was a time where Warrington Borough Council loaned somebody £37.5 million, and it was secured against a house. And then when you looked on the
house,
yeah.
It's a big house, that, like, you know, do you know what I mean?
It's like Buckingham Palace. So
yeah.
So I'm working with a Panorama journalist on this, and so he came across.
Are you working with them at the moment?
We talk quite regularly.
Yeah.
So he came. He's similar to you. He said, I've been looking into Warrington Council corruption at St Helens Council for a few years, and he said, I came across you on Twitter, and he said, it's like my Christmas is lit up all at once. And so Warrington Borough Council had loaned this company £37.5 million, and they secured it against this house, and it was against the deputy leader of Warrington Borough Council. It's all secured against bricks and mortar, and it's dead secure and all the rest of it. Well, they're now £2,000 million in debt, Warrington Council. 2,000 million, 2 billion. They're got government inspectors in at the moment, and then it's
what's the name of the show?
It's there. They've got the biggest council debt in. The leader ran off. The deputy leader ran off, and then so.
With you speaking about all this, Damian, do you not worry about any repercussions or?
No, because I've posted it on social. I've already been
No,
arrested.
I know you have.
I've already been arrested for it.
Do you not worry about like potentially getting, jail or whatever, or
can't get jail for the truth? Well, I don't know. Lucy Letby has.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't if I was a jury member, and what I know now, I would have asked questions about Lucy Letby's. There's so many holes in it. Everyone's picking holes in it. I've been to her appeal in London. I've sat with a new barrister. The police didn't like me talking to him one bit. Anyway, so if I get back to this 37...
Go on, sorry, yeah, I've totally digressed.
I'll just give you one because there's many. So we go looking for this house that's 37.5 million quid. And on this on this Warrington Borough Council deal, there's coordinates, there's addresses, there's a plot of land, If you put your postcode in here, you come here and you go, I'm stood here, and it's here, isn't it? We're here. So we go to this plot of land in Crewe, and we spend hours looking for it. We go in the pubs, we go in new housing estates, we literally go all over the place. We're asking everybody, where's this? It doesn't exist. But further down the road, Persimmon Homes have got a
plots
of new builds, and basically so Warrington Council have basically lent this 37.5 million quid for this plot of land to build this housing estate. Well, they've actually not. They've actually bought a house off a plot of land, off a build, and it's proper. It's like social housing quality. So I used to build houses. The first houses I built were 5-bedroomed, really luxury houses, and they're still amazing to look at now. And I looked at it and I'd just gone, they look like social housing. And then so I'm talking to this Panorama journalist and I'm going, I can't post about this. So if I post it now, I bet I get arrested by the time I get home.
By the time you get back to Warrington, you'll be arrested.
So I posted it and now I got arrested in the morning.
Freaking hell.
Yeah. So that was the first time that I dealt with this journalist. And he's great. He's great.
You've got stuff got to name.
Yeah. So it in effect proved what everybody was saying, and it's the same over and over again. It's this There's like an old poem. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive, and that's what's happened now with me. You've got 20 arrests. You've got complaints and this and that and the other. And
you're not going away. Have you thought about like, that's you, Damien? You're all in. You're not going away. And
I've never thought of going. I've never. And I talk to my daughters about it.
I
go, and I talk to my mum about it, and I go, at first it was like, and I always go,
if you believe in something, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's like my mum's dad was Lieutenant Colonel in Scottish. He was in the British Army. He was in Burma. He got his military cross off the previous king. He got his OBE off the then Queen. He was in Libya. He was the first commandant of the military college in Malaya. And I always go, what would your dad have said? And she always says, you know the difference between right and wrong, and he will always fight for what's right.
And
it's like, thank you, Mum. That's it.
And that's what makes you continue to fight. And
it's like my daughters have lost their education. One wants to be a barrister. Yeah. One wants to be a police officer or teacher, and
that's where it stands. That's where it's come from.
It's like you've literally destroyed two girls, and you've targeted the parent for literally asking them to safeguard his daughters and educate them. It's a statutory duty, and the police have got the complaint. The chief constable's got the complaint. It's like,
what would you say to people who have? On a similar level of, like you're saying, they're putting posts out on social media and they're exposing stuff, because we're having a lot of people now exposing, like you say, you've got the grooming gangs and stuff. You've got, I know, certain situations what people, and a lot of people are being shushed. Yeah. What would you say to anybody out there who's like yourself? I believe in saying the truth. The truth needs to be heard. Yeah. I'm not going to be silenced. What would you say to people out there?
There are so many. So I'll tell this. I'm going to tell you one. So a woman was raped by a member of the Labour Party. This has actually been on BBC News Northwest last week. It was reported by Phil McCann. So I've been dealing with him as well over this. So she was raped by a woman. She's on the BBC report. She's known as Jessie, but that's not her name.
Yeah, that's the name we'll use. Yeah.
She goes to a senior member of the Labour Party for help. She's whistleblowing about the NHS. He offers to help. He then arranges to meet her in Manchester. They have dinner. He arranges to meet her again and go over everything, and then says, I've got flowers for you in my hotel room. She goes to the hotel room, goes to pick them up, he rapes her. She reports it to the Labour Party. She reports it to Greater Manchester Police. She goes on social media. They basically suppress the investigation and get rid of it. It's broke her. It's absolute, because what they do then is she posts on social media that they've closed the investigation down and it's corrupt what they're doing. And you can see when you look at the sequence of emails, they're colluding. Labour Party and Greater Manchester Police are colluding.
So keep this girl quiet.
Keep her quiet. They arrest her. They seize all her property. They seize all the evidence.
On the basis of what?
She's talked about it she's exposing the failures at Greater Manchester Police.
The girl's been raped, for God's sake.
Yep. So then they impose a gagging order on her that she's not allowed to use. She's not allowed to go on social media. She's not allowed to do anything. So she contacts me, and then we go to. She's really traumatized by it. So she wants to tell people a story, like Phil McCann from the BBC, but when she's talking about it, she can't sort of put it in a concise way, and she's all over the place. So I say, I'll produce a document for you, and I'll put it in a document. And it's 9 pages long, and I go, give it to them, let them read it, and then go ask you questions on it. So I produce it for her, and then I'm tweeting about it, and then we appeal her bail conditions that are oppressive. In effect, they're not lawful. And you can't silence somebody. And we go to Manchester Magistrates Court, and we win. And I tweet about it, and then I'm
arrested. Are you arrested?
I go to the library in Warrington, and as I'm walking out, getting in my car, a Cheshire Police marked van parks behind me, blocks me in. I'm then arrested. I'm then interviewed on a false allegation of harassment it's just completely made up. In effect, it gets me into an interview, and then they show me a video of me walking out of the library with the woman that I've created this document for to help her, and she's a rape victim, and they want to know who she is.
What's that got to do with that?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. They wanted to know. This was all collusion.
The clutching, like the clutching at straws, and you know that lady. That don't need to.
Cheshire Police at Labour. You've got a crime commissioner. It's Labour. We're exposing a Labour Party member that's, in effect, raped a woman that's 4'11" tall. She lives alone, and she, in effect, she was. She had a professional career, very professional career, and she's had to jack a job in now.
Of course, she's absolutely traumatized. It's
generally broken.
It's destroyed her.
Yeah. And then you've got another girl that reported.
Oh, this is the one that you told me about.
Yeah, she reported a sort of crime to Greater Manchester Police. The custody sergeant then got all her details off the computer. An Asian police officer. He then sends her
inappropriate pictures and videos.
He sends pictures of his thing, and then while he's at work, he sends videos of him masturbating and going, "Do you want this?" and all the rest of it. And then he susses out that she's not wanting it and says, "If you dare tell anyone or share this, I'll get you arrested for." It's like, I don't know what it is when you share other people's pictures without consent. It's called something.
Yeah, there's a law for it now. It's
Yeah,
like,
so,
what's the name? Yeah, I can't
so,
remember the exact term.
but
Whatever.
she reports, but so
He's
she
threatening her with that because he's
threatening her with
banged
arrest.
her rights. And
So I say to her, why don't you report it to Cheshire Police then? So she does. And they refuse to take the report. And then I've told her to, so I'm witness to it. So I've made a complaint to Cheshire Police. So you've got all these women reporting things to Greater Manchester Police. I've helped one do, in effect, a document to help her with, that she can go to journalists and she can go to the police and say, this is what's happened to me, without actually talking and re-traumatising. And then I've got arrested for it. And then I've helped the one that's been sent all the pics and the masturbation videos. He's literally, so he's in the custody suite at Greater Manchester Police.
while at work.
While there's police officers in the background, and you can hear all the other police officers talking and doing policey stuff, while he's masturbating to a video and sending it to this girl.
How is that, like, that's just not acceptable?
Yeah, yeah.
And all, you know, and
So
and then trying to cover it up.
So she's now being harassed by the police as well. So you've got, so as soon as you make a complaint to the police, you know, you're going to get harassed. I mean, if
you know, when people watch this and, you know, and they hear these type of things, obviously your experience with, you know, certain situations with councils and police forces and stuff like that. But when you're talking about women who've been raped, people who've been, you know, videos and rude pictures and stuff like that, this is why a lot of people don't have faith in the police, because not saying all police are like that.
they're not.
They're not, you know, I'm not saying all police are like that, but what I'm saying, when you've got police officers doing that and put it under the carpet, them type of things can't go under the carpet. It's disgusting, you know, and I just find it, that how the woman's found the strength to, obviously, the experience she's had, to go and actually, it's hard to go and speak about something like that.
They struggle, because I think there's a lot of women that are struggling with complaining to the police. I mean, I
don't think they're going to be believed, or they're going to, you know.
It's just so you've got journalists in Manchester were dealing with a child trafficked girl that had been raped. So while I was at Manchester Crown Court, they were telling me about this case, and then when they were dealing with this child that had been basically groomed, trafficked, raped, they took the girl, the journalist took the girl around and she identified the locations that she'd been raped in. She then identified a Greater Manchester police officer that had raped her. She then gets, the journalist then get a phone call from Greater Manchester Police saying, shut your investigation down.
Don't print that or whatever. And
shut your investigation down or we'll come remove your servers.
remove you what?
Remove your servers. Your computer servers. So in effect, you won't be able to work. That's Greater Manchester.
How is that acceptable, though?
Well, every time I get arrested, Cheshire Police search my house. They seize my phones, tablets, kids' laptops, school laptops, tablets, anything that's got an electronic device in it. Doesn't matter whether it's a tablet for an 8-year-old or it's my daughter's education laptop. They're seizing it, and they have done. Mobile phones, the lot. Even the mother of my 2 eldest children, her mobile phone that has all the photographs on, and she's been dead for 8 years, they've seized her phone. Why? They're my daughter's. That's my daughter's possession.
Keepsake. It's like taking memories on there of their mum and stuff. I mean, it's not. I just find it absolutely outrageous. You know what you're telling us. And when I said to Ben, our producer, about like, I'm gonna get this gentleman on and he's got a lot to speak about, and
you've only heard of what you've.
I know we only scratched the surface.
You've heard of 5. You've heard of 5 arrests. You've heard of 2 in 2021. You had 2022. You've heard the one about Jessie that I was helping a rape victim. So I'm helping a rape victim who BBC have then done Northwestern. I actually did one. It was on the lunchtime news, the evening news, and I was the one that did the sequence of events for him. It was, and I actually went to court, to Manchester Magistrates Court, to overturn her bail conditions, because I was the one that went before the judge and said, she has freedom of expression. They're oppressive.
She's been raped.
She's been raped, and he He is. I know who he is, and I know his
Don't
position.
want to say,
I'm not going to
mention his name.
No, but they've not arrested him. It's like, it's just.
How can that not be? How can that not be? You know what I
The
mean?
Labour Party if the Labour Party have a dedicated sexual harassment team, and a dedicated sexual harassment team email as well, what type of organisation has a team to suppress? In effect, it actually tells her, they actually email her and go, don't talk to the press, don't publish anything, they basically just, and if you do, you can be prosecuted.
Trying to shut her down, trying to like silence her.
It's blatant intimidation, yeah, blatant. I mean, if you were to go onto my social media and search sexual harassment, their emails to her
They're on there.
Are there, yeah, and all I've done is redact a person's name.
You just covered it out.
I've just, yeah. So you can find it, so you can just search sexual harassment and it will come up. But if you just search sexual, it's such an unusual word for me to have typed.
Yeah.
It will come up. It will come up with the bail conditions, and it was like they literally gagged her. This is a woman that does live alone, who's now lost her career.
Profession. She's like, what?
Yeah. Very, very professional job she had.
She's insecure. She's scared. She's, it's
It's
terrifying when you even think about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, why? But you're hearing so many cases up and down the country where people, are getting silenced over rape cases, abuse, freedom of speech. People,
You've also got to add in, then you've got Northamptonshire Police maliciously prosecuted me, and then that got dropped. But then what you've got is, you've also got the corrupt judges in the judiciary, and especially around here. So you've got them in Warrington. You have got bent judges in Warrington, and they know that I know because they know what I'm pursuing. So there's bent corrupt judges in Warrington. There are bent corrupt judges at Chester Magistrates Court. There are bent corrupt judges at Crewe Magistrates Court. There are bent corrupt judges at Liverpool Crown Court as well.
What was that, what you said to me when I spoke to you on the phone in regards to, you were saying about the judges, people who might not know this.
Yeah.
Now, if, say for instance, a judge can, if you're not wanting a judge to be involved with that or whatever, it's against...
It's if you believe that a judge is biased, it's quite obvious if a judge is what's called advocating. So the case against you will be by the police, the CPS. If you believe that the judge is advocating or batting for one side and is not independent, then that's bias. It's called judicial bias. And then obviously you can invite the judge to just go, I believe that there's some sort of bias going here. You're not independent. Will you recuse yourself? And if they don't, you can then make an application, a court application to do it. So that does exist. And I think people wrongly believe judges are independent. They will uphold the law. And I think you've probably got about a 1 in 10 chance of having a straight judge. I think it's that bad.
Really?
And I've recused judges.
And what's like you said, the process? So, say for instance, but if another judge who you're not happy is biased, do you think if they were to send types of email, what you told me on the phone, can you explain to everyone?
So the next thing is you can do what's called a subject access request to any organisation, not in a small organisation, but Warrington Borough Council, Cheshire Police, the courts are HM Courts and Tribunal Service, the judiciary are Ministry of Justice. The Ministry of Justice has multiple departments within it, the judiciary, the legal aid, and various other different things. So you can do a subject access request to anything, any conversation, any emails or data that's held in the Ministry of Justice. If a judge has communicated with another judge about a case, they're not independent. So that's like a jury member going out of a court hearing and then talking to the brother that's then talked to the mate down the pub.
Contempt, isn't it? Isn't that contempt?
But in effect, that's what the judges are doing. So you can do a subject access request. In fact, Julian Assange's wife, Stella Assange, has just done it for Keir Starmer. And so the Crown Prosecution Service have got to deliver all their emails. So basically just find out what the judges are actually sending in emails to each other. And they've got to remain independent. So you can do a subject access request for the judges' emails, which I did last week at Liverpool Crown Court. So, and the judge agreed, the judge did it. So that's a process now.
Yeah.
So you can do a subject access request to Warrington Council, you can do it to Cheshire Police, you can do it to Greater Manchester Police, you can do it to the courts. So the people who run the courts is HMCTS, Her Majesty's Courts and Tribunals. You can do it to the Ministry of Justice, so that's to the judges. So you can just harvest all the information and find out who's being straight and who's bent.
It's bonkers, you know, when people, because a lot of people who might come across this episode, and you know, people want to know. We had a previous guest on, and like I think I explained it to you. You know, he was fighting for justice for his wife, and he didn't think he had a fair trial. And
well, so that's the issue. So it's harder to fight after the event. If you think something's not right at the beginning, you've got to fight at the beginning, because if you look at, just for example, Lucy Letby. So she's now being convicted. Whether you believe she's guilty or not, it actually doesn't matter. So she's been found guilty of 15 counts of 7 of murder, 8 attempted murder. Now, she's now got to appeal each single one, but the evidence that people are saying is wrong that convicted her was available before she was convicted. They should have challenged it then.
Not now.
I mean, yes, now.
Yeah. But
to challenge a murder conviction afterwards literally takes years. But she's now got 7 murders and 8 attempted murder. So everyone's in chaos about it. You actually don't need to believe or not believe, because me going to hers was to warn journalists and just going, listen, I'm in a case with Cheshire Police where they tamper with evidence, where they withhold evidence, and where they just fabricate evidence. I'm just telling you they do it, and I will prove it. And if it hadn't have been for a judge on Monday, so I think what was due to happen on Monday was, I think the police were due to try and arrest me before I got there, because they will have known...
At your house, you mean?
Yeah, they will have known that I was having a good judge that day that was not corrupt. So I think they meant to arrest me before I got to court, which meant I wouldn't have got to court, which meant I wouldn't have got the straight judge. I would have got yet another bent one. And bent ones I've had. And yes, and at Liverpool Crown Court, I have recused a judge that's... I put it in the letter that it appears you're advocating for the police.
What response did you get?
He's not had the case. And I've now got a good judge in.
Oh, right, okay.
So it has worked. But I detailed why.
Yeah.
So, and it's risky. It's risky because people are scared of retaliation.
Of course they are, and I think that's what a lot of people worry about. But by watching this and the depth that you've got into about what, you know, how can people contact you, Dame, if they, you know, if they're having similar...
This is hilarious. So if you Google my name, if people just literally Google Damian Harry, Damin, Google actually predicts where I live. It gives you the choice. So it's not hard. It comes up.
So, but I mean, social media wise and stuff like that, you just obviously can contact you on X and stuff, Twitter.
And unless you actually, and people will just go, can you DM me? Just comment on something. Just
like,
go,
like I did.
Yeah.
Like I did.
And I think I DM'd you and went, I just have.
Yeah, and then we touch base, and because there will be a lot of people that, you know, there's a lot of
people will be harassed. They will be victimised by the police. They will be going through abuse by councils. They will not how to go through a subject access request. They won't even know it exists. They won't know.
See, they don't know these type of things, Dame. You know what I mean?
If you get unlawfully arrested and falsely imprisoned, and people, body worn video is a big thing. I found that body worn video is a big wow. Didn't know this, and I didn't know that when they produce a clip that there's actually a real clip in existence. It's called a bit by bit clip. So they give an evidential copy which might be 2 minutes long, but it might be an hour long, the bits by bit one, which never changes.
Because you hear so much about these body cams. Clips go missing. Yeah. You know, before, my body cam wasn't worn. The body cams were switched off and stuff like that.
So what I managed to piece to... So they did, I think, about half a dozen clips of one particular officer who said that my body-worn video camera, this is in his statements, this is how I've proved, and the contempt of... He's lied. So he says... my body-worn video came off in the scuffle. That's what he said. So let's just say that his ends at 10 o'clock exactly. Then I've watched another police officer's and found out that, and I've wound his back to the time and then wound it back to where I was. So I can then give a fixed time of where he says the scuffle. So one officer says the scuffle started at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
And at 10 o'clock off the other officer's one, I'm actually 50 metres away in my house.
So,
Yeah.
So it's just like I say, people will come across this and they'll take, hopefully they'll take a lot from it, and you know what I mean. So
all you've got to do is get a straight judge, and if you know the law and you give the law to a judge and say, all I want you to do is uphold it, because the judges take an oath to uphold the law. That's all they've got to do. So all you've got to do is give them the law and go, can you uphold that, please? And the judge on Monday went, yep, want about 31st of January. So
with music to your ears, that was music to your ears.
And that took 3 years, 4 months to get.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, they're not bothered. They're not bothered. But all the so his work colleagues, so these 4 officers that assaulted me, his work colleagues all know that I'm going to get these 4 officers, and their retaliation is you're exposing one of our officers as liars, and you're putting them through contempt of court proceedings. No, actually, he beat me up. He punched me in the back of the head. He took his body-worn video camera off, threw it past my head, and said it fell off in a scuffle. Now, I was actually 50 metres away from my house when he said that happened. You're a liar. That's Cheshire Police for you. So if Lucy Letby has been convicted for 7 murders, 8 attempted murders, based on the same police force going, believe us, Operation Hummingbird, I won't believe anything that they say.
It's absolutely outrageous, isn't it? So, Damian, going forward for you, what are you looking to do? Obviously you're fighting certain things and you're not going away. What is it you're looking to, you're trying to get justice and
justice that that we need to correct what's wrong with what they've done to my children. I've always said, I've had this is, so I went into hospital in 2007. I'm not a complainer. So if you do something to me, I'm not a complainer.
But do something to your kids.
You weren't my kids.
Yeah.
You go after my children, and I will not stop until I've got them justice. So in 2007, I went into Halton Hospital. So not
far from here. Yeah.
I went into hospital for partial thyroidectomy. I should have been in as a day patient. They mixed the hospital notes up, so it was all before they checked everything really well. And they did an operation on me, on a man that they thought was twice my... So I was 30 at the time, and the guy that they should have been operating on was in his 50s, who had thyroid cancer. So they cut me open, thinking I had thyroid cancer, and in my 50s, age 30, and completely removed a perfectly healthy thyroid gland, which left me paralysed in hospital for a week, critical. I couldn't move my arms or legs. It was all like a shock. I then spent a whole month in hospital instead of as a day patient. I lost 4 stone from what I am now, so I looked emaciated, and basically was left with a lifelong condition with no thyroid. You notice that I coughed, and So I've got paralysed vocal cord as a result. So they cut a nerve to my left vocal cord, so my voice never gets louder than this. And I coughed, so I didn't complain about that. I didn't complain because I thought, I don't want to hurt the NHS. But they've hurt my kids. They've damaged my kids' education. I will get Warrington Council, and we're going to nail Cheshire Police.
So that obviously...
And I'm also going to nail every...
But you're out there to help others as well. Obviously, you're dealing with what
I've always said this, though, and I've said this to Jessie in the last 24 hours. I said, if I can... She's going through... people contact her and ask her for help because I've helped her. And her case has got BBC North West Tonight coverage with Phil McCann. And so I've always said, if I do something, so if I recuse a judge, I do a subject access request, I'll post them on my feed. And if someone needs to know what a template looks like, or wants to do a subject access request, or wants to know how to recuse
can you reach out,
or wants to know about body-worn video, you can go onto my feed, type in BWV, or You can type in SAR, like subject access, or you can search Harris. There's lots. So every document I've really done,
It's there
it's
to help.
there.
It's there to help
If someone
people.
says, I'm looking for this, who do I contact? Go, hold on a sec. Poof, dumph. No problem. I'll help you. If I can help someone,
You will.
I will do, yeah.
You stand up for what you believe in, and listen, that's not a bad thing. You know, a lot of people think, oh, you just go away. It's not, and I get it. I'm one of them. You know, if I believe in something, if I believe in something or whatever,
I didn't know I didn't know what I could. In the last few months, I've managed to do things that solicitors. I've had some big legal teams helping me that I would literally, I can't. I could give you a list of legal companies that deal with police that I wouldn't, that are advocating for the police. Bent. If people believe that the police are straight, if you think you're going to get a solicitor that's not actually colluding with the police, it's really difficult to get straight.
It's that fine line. Is it just
very, if they get a lot of work, or if they get, I don't know how it works, but
juicy solicitor, all that malarkey?
There's a lot of bent solicitors out there, and there's.
I think there's a lot of thing that goes on within today's society, corruption and stuff like that, which unfortunately that's just we wish it didn't go on, but it does, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean?
And now I've done something else which I didn't know you could do, where you could actually have access to. It's working out the triangle between judges and judicial independence. And I thought it was okay for judges to talk to another judge, but it isn't. And if you've got a bent judge going, listen, you've got a case this afternoon, it's Damian Harry, do me a favour, bury it, or do me a favour, don't do it. It's all.
They're not allowed to.
They're not allowed to communicate. And now I've realised that I can actually get judges' emails.
You can get access to them.
Yeah. And that's what I did last week. So I got the body worn. I actually got the body worn video thing and doing a subject access request of both the court documents, the judges' documents, and the clerk's documents to the judges as well. There's lots of secrecy behind documents. You just got to know what to ask for.
No, that's it. Just before we finish up, what would you like to, would there be anything like out there that you'd like to go and do? Obviously, I know you're fighting your own corner and stuff, and you're doing bits and bobs. Is there anything out there that you'd like to help others? I know I've just said that before, but
in what way?
I mean, people who are fighting big cases and stuff, and they feel that they're at a dead end and stuff like that, or setting up a foundation of some sort, or a charity. I don't know, to help people who think they've been a miscarriage of justice or whatever.
Miscarriage of justice. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people out there. You've got to look at people like Julian Assange. He was persecuted for. Just follow other people, ask questions, and you'll find there's just ask people if you. Julian Assange was literally persecuted for 14 years, and you look at the guy in Russia that was standing up to Putin. Do you remember that? And he just said never give up. Do you remember that one? He flew back to Russia, and then he was arrested and then sent to I
think I remember something.
I can't remember his name, but it was like
it's that saying, never give up.
It's never give up. But that's a Winston Churchill 1941 thing. Never, never give in, unless it's never give in unless like good reason.
Yeah.
I mean, if something's blatantly wrong, you don't just keep going down the path.
And you accept it.
Yeah. You accept that it's if you make you've got to make the right decision. And it's like, I've never ever thought of giving up, not once. And it's not a stupid thing. I was exhausted. I was exhausted today. I'd been awake. They starved me. They dehydrated me. It's all part of their thing. It's a complete breach of their Police and Criminal Evidence Act. You're supposed to have a hot meal every day. You're supposed to have drinks. You're supposed to. In 24 hours, I wasn't given soap. So I'm going to the toilet in the cell, and they give me some food after 23 hours, but they've not given me any soap or a towel to wash my hands. They've not given me, and asked them for paper for writing. Yeah. They give me one piece of paper. It's like, how can I write everything down off that? Then at 7 o'clock at night, they turn my light off, so I can't see anything.
It's the games that they play, when
it's
you hear
this. It's all psychological. It's like, but when their colleagues see this, and they will do, you know, they'll realise what morally corrupt people they are. And I just think, and genuinely, the 2 police officers that arrested me this week,
Yeah.
the girl was lovely, the guy was lovely. And it was like genuinely lovely. And the custody sergeant, he was brilliant. And then you've got staff then you've got people that are doing deliberately things that are wrong. And it's like,
why don't they pick up on this? And you know what I mean?
If they spent more time, you know, police have tried to arrest me on Monday for a tweet that says Cheshire police are corrupt and they'll, you know, journalists will sell their arseholes and all that type of stuff. It's actually true. It's true. And if they look at the original story, Cheshire police try and control the media. They try, you know,
control. That's what a lot of people say.
Yeah.
Today it's about control and stuff.
The only reason journalists were contacting me over the Brianna Ghey murder was because they knew Warrington Council and Cheshire police were lying. And, you know, Scarlett shouldn't have been in school. They doctored all her school records. And, you know, she was placed with Brianna. All 3 children were special educational needs. So if they'd have been assessed properly, all of this would have been picked up. But maybe they felt, you know, Scarlett, I genuinely feel sorry for. I know Brianna's been murdered and it's horrible and it's horrific. But Scarlett and Eddie were also failed. My children were failed and I'm trying to raise awareness.
Of course, yeah.
But Scarlett and Eddie are doing 20 and 22 years. If they'd have been picked up in a special educational
maybe this might not have happened, do you think?
It wouldn't have happened. It would not have happened. She wouldn't. If they'd have been more inclusive and they'd been in their education,
people were all over them.
Trying to keep them. Yeah, they said that they were very intelligent kids, which is absolute nonsense. Because as my daughter's education collapsed, my daughter said, and you know, this is 2 years. She actually said, my education has gone backwards. I feel like I'm in primary school, Dad. So Eddie and Scarlett were at the same level as my daughter.
So you can see like the
so the parity's there, and you know, and if they're feeling despondent and they're not feeling educated and they feel lost and outsiders, you know, then so I feel sorry for them as well because they were failed, and you've got all these people going high-fiving, and you know, you've got these directors of children's services earning over 100 grand a year, 20 and 30,000 pound a year in pension contributions, and they're all high-fiving. You've got one dead girl, and you've got 2 in. It's got failures everywhere.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, Brianna wasn't the only trans kid. There's anyway.
Yeah. Listen, I know we could speak all night, Damian.
Yeah.
I was going to call you Damian again, but I won't. But listen, that was very eye-opening, and you know, I hope anyone who watches this can get something from it and take something from it, because like you're saying, you know, never ever give up, and you know,
don't give up.
Yeah.
If the council try and crush you, there's a way around it. Don't trust the police, and if they withhold evidence, there's a way to getting it, because all they're going to do is all the police will try and do, especially Cheshire police, they will try and pervert the course of justice. And don't think the judges are on your side, because they will try and pervert the course of justice as well.
Right. It's a strong, what's the name, like you're saying, belief. Yeah. No, but listen, Damian, I want to just say thank you very much for coming on and sharing the good, the bad and the ugly. Thank you.
It's nice to meet you.
Thanks very much. Thank you.